Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys and a Ride, and welcome to our ultimate guide video on the 2025 Cadillac CT5 Premium Luxury All-Wheel Drive. Today I'll be covering the driver's information and infotainment screens. I'll do a general overview, show you how to access information, and do a deep dive. Let's get started.
Today we're working with our friends at Snell Cadillac in Mankato, Minnesota.
All right, so this is completely redesigned dashboard and infotainment screen since the last CT5, and it is beautiful. It is a total of 33 inches of screen between the driver screen and the infotainment screen, and they're massive, and it's really well laid out. So basically you're going to have some controls over here on the left that you'll be able to adjust the dashboard with, add information, change information. You have some controls down here. So this part is touch. Then just to the right of that, of course, you've got an information area, which right now just displays time, date, but you can throw information into this area from the infotainment screen, and I'll show you how to do that. And then in the center, of course, you've got an RPM gauge, you've got your speed, and then you've got your fuel, but that can be adjusted as well. And then over on the far right, you've got a media area. Basically, it's radio and phone. All right. Down below that, of course, you've got your compass, which says east. You've got 8 miles on the odometer, and then you got your 31 miles till empty, and then your gear selector, and then a Super Cruise icon down below that, which is not available right now, but this does come with Super Cruise. Now, to control all this information, let's first start with the left side of the screen. Right now we're on gauge out of the 3 choices. Okay, and it's showing the gauge icon right there. Now, I could switch over to trip meter, I could switch to HUD, but I want to stay here for now. And the way the gauges are set up is what you see right in the middle with the RPM and the fuel and the miles per hour. That will change depending on the mode that you're in. So the mode button is down just below the climate control buttons, and if I switch to a different mode, you're going to see now that the cluster changes. This is sport. So now I got an interior RPM gauge. I've got engine temp on the bottom left, oil temp on the top left. I've got oil pressure on the top right, and then of course fuel on the bottom right. Okay, if I switch it again to tour, it goes back to this, and then my mode, it stays as this, and then of course in snow and ice it stays there. So basically 2 modes. You've got your sport like this, and then you've got everything else is going to look like this. But that is how you change those gauges. Now, I want to go down under gauge here. I'm going to go down to trip. And if I click on trip here, you're going to notice I get 3 dots. So here's trip 1. You simply swipe to trip 2, and then swipe again for a calm screen where there's just really nothing there. All right. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to gauges for a minute. I'll get to HUD in a little bit. Let's go to map, because this is just an awesome view. Look at that. I mean, it's just full screen Google Maps. And this is a Google built-in. I got a car coming from the right. I do like that when that senses that. Puts your RPM gauge down below. Leaves all basic information. Your miles per hour is in the middle. You got your gear selector, you got your fuel gauge. So everything you need is down below, but it's so nice that they have that. Now, if you want clean, it gets rid of almost everything that it thinks you probably don't really actually need to see. And it's going to tell you, you got 30 miles left on your fuel and you're going 0 miles an hour, and your gear selector. There's a little icy symbol below the neutral and drive. That's because it's icy out today. All right. So those are the 3 that you can toggle between here. And that's how you change the gauges in the middle. Now, let's talk about the HUD for a minute. The HUD is really, really, really nice. And this is going to give you all your controls. So you can rotate the HUD to the left, and you can rotate it to the right so that it sits straight for you. You can adjust the height You will definitely see it better at certain heights than others. So depending on your height, you'll want to adjust that. And then you've got brightness. So you can dim it way down and then you can dim it way up. Okay. And then of course you can hit the power button and shut the whole HUD off if you don't like that. Now, everyone has different reactions to the HUD. Personally, I absolutely love it. I don't know that I'd even look at the dashboard. I really like that when it's up in front of me. Okay, but that is how you adjust the HUD, and that is how you adjust the things that are on this side of the screen. So let's move over to where the date is. Now, the only way to change that information is through the infotainment screen. So what you want to do is you're going to want to go to the home screen, and then you want to go to vehicle status. And I'm actually going to use the rotary knob that is down in the center console so that you can see it and my arm doesn't get in the way. But you can click on these two with your fingers. So if you go to vehicle status, you can go down to each category and just click on it, or you can go over here and you can click on the various plus signs. So they are the same information that you get over here. So I'm just gonna go over here because I'm gonna go to tire and brakes, and then I'm gonna go over to tire pressure. And if I click on tire pressure, I can click add to driver display, and now my tire pressure is in that time and date area. I can click again to remove it. Okay, I'll go up, back, and then I'm gonna go down to fluids and filters here. I won't show you all of these, but they all work the same way. You want oil life? Go ahead and click on it once, click on it again to add to display, and there you go. Press the back button here. All of these can be sent over to that screen. So for instance, if I just go to engine and battery, and I go over here, you've got a couple more that come up. Okay, let's say I really want to see my my PSI and my oil pressure. Okay, so I just add driver display, and there it is. So that is how you're going to add information to the left side of the screen from the infotainment screen. So let's jump over to the right side where we've got media, and this is the last area that we can control. Okay, so on the very right-hand side of the driver screen where you see 93.5, you can control that information from here. So first of all, you got these up and down buttons, which will change between your favorites. Right here. Down here, you've got volume up and down. Here, you can go to phone if you have one connected, which I will do shortly. But here's where you go to select your sources. So you've got AM, FM, Sirius XM. You can use a USB. You got news from Google, podcasts from Google, and Amazon Alexa. Okay, which of course, you know, you'll have to set this up with your account for any of those to work there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it right here on FM. If I just simply rotate this dial while I'm in a radio, doesn't matter AM, FM, Sirius XM, it'll show me my favorites as well. Okay, and it shows me by the little orange graph on the right which one I'm on. Okay, so that is how you're going to tune the radio and change sources from the steering wheel. Okay, and then you can, anything that comes over your phone calls, all that kind of stuff, that will show up in that screen. Okay, so that is it for the driver's information screen. Next, we're going to move over to the infotainment screen. All right, moving over to this beautiful infotainment screen. Should mention again, this is all part of it. It's a 33 inches of curved LED screen. This has got a 9K resolution, this screen. 33 inches, 9K resolution. I mean, it is really slick. The sound system in here is an AKG system, and it has 15 speakers, including the subwoofer. And there's two ways to control it. You've got touch, of course, which you can do, or you can use the rotary dial that's just behind the shifter in the center column, and you can use that to go around, which a lot of people really like. I just prefer touch, but that is there. Now, in the rotary touch, since I won't be coming back to that, you do have a shortcut for navigation. You've got a shortcut for vehicle information. You've got a home button, and you've got a back button. All right. You got a shortcut for music. You got a shortcut for phone, and then you've got a volume knob just above the big rotary knob. And it works really well. I mean, it's intuitive, and it works really well. Okay. But let's talk about what's in the screen here. Now, this is Google built in, And so some of the services will come with a subscription fee. What the length of that is, what the cost of that is, that you would want to contact your Cadillac dealer. And you can check the link in our description where this car was from our good friends at Snell here in Mankato. And they'd be happy to let you know what those costs are down the road and how long you get it for free when you, as a trial, when you purchase the car. All right. But that being said, let's go through what's on the screen here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to show you how to customize it. All right, so you can see there's two little dashes here. That means there are two screens, okay? And currently we are at the home button, okay? You can rearrange the order of any of these icons, okay? So I can say I want settings, just click and hold. I want settings up there. Or you could say, you know what? I want audio on the first screen. Just slide it over, kind of hold, and now you can go and say, okay, there's audio. It's right next to my Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So those are grayed out. They're going to be grayed out until you hook up to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and then they'll light up. And you'll see that in a little bit here when I hook up my Android phone. Okay. So that is how you customize that part of the screen, move icons around. But you can also replace the shortcuts that always stay here. So let's say, for instance, I want camera down here. I can just drag this down here and I can replace it. I can click here and I can switch places with that. So it's really, really cool. The only two you can't touch are home and the split screen one. Okay, so then I want to talk about the split screen view. All right, so in here, right now you've got navigation and you got media, whatever is your current radio station is set. Okay, if I went over to my steering wheel button and I said, I want to change sources, I'm going to go to, say, Sirius XM. See, that'll all change, right? It just depends on what you're currently playing. All right, but there is a way to edit these. They're very simple. You click on the pencil, and here I can have audio or Google Assistant, and then I get a couple of things, right? Now you can go over here, and you can change this between navigation and audio. But these are your only choices. Okay, there isn't any other extra, but at least you can modify them a little bit, which is really nice. And I love having the navigation in a small screen. I really do. All right, so that is what this multi-screen button does, and that's how you adjust the what content that's in there. Okay, down here, of course, you get some basic information. This button will be your profiles. Okay, and then if I go down here, this tells you got a 5G signal. This is capable of having a 5G Wi-Fi hotspot. Of course, you got a navigation icon, just tells you that Maps is running. And then you've got any alerts or notifications. And then, of course, you got outdoor temperature and you have got the clock. Now, as usual on pretty much any modern car, if you click on the clock, it takes you right to the format for setting it. Okay. Now, let's go back to home and let's get into some of these apps that are on here. Of course, here's your Google Assistant, and you can just tap it to talk. Or you can just say, hey, Google, tune to 95.5 FM.
Got it. This is 95.5 FM.
And there we go. You do have the Google Play Store. Now, you're going to have to sign into your account to use that. You can find apps, Android apps for the car, okay, that you can use in here. Now, do you have to sign into Google to use the navigation and the voice command? No, you don't. But if you want access to the store, the Play Store, if you want access to more personalized things, then you will need to sign in. But you don't have to sign in to use the basics. Okay, go back here. We'll get back to Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I want to go to audio for a minute. This is all going to be all your radios. First of all, where are your sources? Well, you go here, and there they all are. Okay, you can click on any one that you want. So how do you tune? Well, you're either going to use these buttons right here. And this is the ones that'll take you incrementally to the next station. You can use the up and down buttons on the right side of the steering wheel. Those will change between your favorites, okay? Or you can go here, and then you can just look through all the available radio stations and simply click on one, okay? Now, how do you save a favorite? You simply find a radio station you want, click and hold, and it saves it. Okay, can you overwrite an existing one? Absolutely. Let's just go here, click and hold, and that's done. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how do you manage those favorites? You're going to go to the gear wheel. You're going to go to Manage Radio Favorites. And here you can do two things. First of all, I have two 98.7s, so I can delete just like that. Secondly, I can take this one and move it up. Take this one and move it up, okay, so that they're all in a row. And if I go back, okay, then they are all going to be in a row like this. If I left a gap, it would say hold to set between them. Okay, now, how do you adjust sound? So you go back to the gear wheel, you go to sound, you got the equalizer, which you can just drag, or you can use the buttons. All right, and you go down here, you go to fade and balance. Cool graphic. I like how they do that. It's actually your car. That is way cool. And you can hit this to recenter everything. All right. And then you got sound mode. If you want sound mode just to be in the front so the back passengers aren't having to hear so much, you can do that. You can set it to just rear if you want more conversation in the front. Okay. And then either way, you can set the balance between stereo and surround. And as you go further, you can see the green icons here, the green graphics moving around. Okay, very nice sound system. All right, now back here, you do have adaptive volume, and if you turn that on, basically it's going to make the music sound the same in your car to your ear, no matter how much noise there is around you. So if you're on the highway and there's a little bit more interior noise, it's going to increase the volume slightly. And if you are in town when there's not a lot of road noise, it's going to turn the volume down. It's going to balance it out so you don't have to keep adjusting the volume. All right. Now, I'm going to show you real quick that AM looks the same. It has all the same features. Gear wheel's the same. Okay. I'm going to show you Sirius XM for a minute. You do have a few extra buttons here because it's Sirius XM. Like if you go here for tuning, you can go through categories. You can also do some settings inside there that SiriusXM will allow you to do. Of course, you'll have to sign up for SiriusXM when you do that. All right. So that is media. All right. Let's go over for a minute to climate. Now, you can run things through the screen if you want. Okay. For instance, here you can turn stuff on, off. You can turn it to auto. You can sync. You can change where the airflow is going, fan speed, and then passenger temperature and driver temperature is the dual zone auto climate control system. However, Cadillac has very conveniently placed all of the climate controls right here below the screen, including your sync button. So for me, with your shifter right here and your finger able to pretty much control everything just from right here, I think that's what I would use. But it's available there if you want it. Now, while I'm here, if you look down below the screen, you do have heated and ventilated seats. Okay, and they are 3 stages. This next button is your auto park button, which is really neat in this car. So it will run, once it finds the location and you turn it on, it will automatically park you parallel or perpendicular, and it will also exit you from a parallel or perpendicular parking space. That is just really cool. You just press the button and then it says shift reverse to exit space because it knows I'm parked right now. Okay, that is just way, way cool. So this button will shut off your rear auto brake and your brake your park assist. Okay, so that's off right now. You want the light on to have those things active. Of course, you got your hazard button here. You got your lane keeping assist right here. This is your 360 camera system button. And I absolutely love this. So you've got the front view off the front camera. You got the overhead 360 view here. This is the standard view. You can say, well, I want the overhead for the front of the car. I want to look down the nose, not just way up here. Okay. You can do the same from the reverse. So I've got standard view out my back camera, and I've got the overhead view where I'm looking down on it. Okay, now in either one of these, you also have a side view. So right now, because I'm in the front camera, these are my front tires, front left, front right. But if I switch to the back camera and I go to side, this is my, this should be my back, I think this is my back left and my back right. Nope, that'll be my back right, and that's my back left. Okay, now in addition to that, you've got this gear setting here, and where you can say, I don't want the top-down view. And what that does for you, I get a bigger picture. So if you don't think you really want the 360 all the time, you can get yourself a bigger backup camera by doing that. And if you switch to the rear, it's the same thing. Okay, so that's what that does. I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on again. You can see it's just a little smaller screen. All right, and then we'll click exit here. All right, but it's really nice to have that camera button. So when you're pulling in somewhere, you want to hit that button to see what what's in front of you as you're parking. You can certainly do that. Back up to the screen here. You can use the My Cadillac app. You have to sign into it and stuff, so I'm not going to do that. But you can get it on your phone. Okay, and when you do that, you can do things like remote start your car, activate the horn and lights, the locks, look at maintenance scheduling, the status of maintenance, security or collision alert, and vehicle location, all through that app. So a pretty nice feature. All right, so what I want to do is I want to go back here to the home screen. All right, let's take a look at ambient lighting. All right, so first of all, over here, you've got a menu on the left. Okay, so on overview, you've got just a quick click for different settings. Okay, very quick to move and react. Really nice screen. All right, you can also shut off ambient lighting there if you don't want it on. All right, you can customize it. So you can customize the accent and the glow. And all you got to do is click on it and then click on the accent that you want. Okay, it's not a slide, it's just a click. And then you can save or undo. And it's the same thing for the glow. Right. Now, you can go to brightness. Now here you can just click and drag and change the brightness of it. Now notice I'm adjusting for accent and glow separately, but if you want them to be the same, you can sync them, and then it'll show you a line where, yeah, there you go. So I go up here and the other one catches up. So it doesn't matter which one you do. We better leave it somewhere in the middle. Okay. Styles. Okay, here they give you a nice style screen here with the car in the background. But it's the same that we saw a little bit earlier. Okay, maybe a few more options. And then you got modes. Okay, again, you can have custom, which is what we are in, or you can just link it to the drive mode. All right, so the next thing I want to dive into here is settings. So under connections, you're going to see phones if they're connected. You can turn Apple CarPlay or Android Auto ability off. You can look at Wi-Fi networks, Wi-Fi hotspots. So if you want to connect to Wi-Fi at home, this is where you're going to go. Okay. So right now, just to go back out, vehicle audio settings. Now we have seen this already, so I'm not going to go through that. Drive mode customization. When we went through the drive modes, there's a My Mode. This is where you set it up. So you can pick between Tour or Sport for steering, brake feel, again, Tour or Sport, engine sound. You can have Stealth, Tour or Sport, and that's what My Mode's going to be. Okay, so when you go through the drive modes and you're on My Mode, that's what's selected. You can't adjust it from here, but you can also click, let me go back to that for a minute. You can get to it if you click on the pencil quick enough. Then you can get to that screen, but it kind of disappears quickly. All right, Typical to Cadillac, GMC, Chevy, there's a team driver setup where you can geofence the car, you can get reports on car, you can set like the max radio volume, you can force the car to have all the safety systems on, that kind of stuff. Okay, buckle to drive. If that is turned on, trying to shift into reverse or into drive takes longer. It'll eventually happen, but it takes longer with the seatbelt off. If you buckle up, it shifts right away. And it's meant to, and the screen will chime and remind you that you're not buckled. Okay? If you don't like that feature, you can turn that off there. This does have Super Cruise. Along with that, you do get Super Cruise lane change. And then you can say, I want it automatic, so it's just going to do it when it senses it needs to. You can say, oh, I only want that when the turn signal is activated. Basically, if you've not heard of that before, what it's going to do is it's going to pass a car and pull back into the same lane that you were traveling in. Okay, you can make that automatic. You can say, nope, only when I turn my turn signal on, or I don't want that at all, and turn it off. Okay, climate and air quality. You can set the auto fan speed. So you can choose between medium, low, or high. You can set the sensitivity of the air quality sensor, okay, low or high. You want cooled and ventilated seats on startup, and it will automatically know whether to cool or heat them depending on the ambient temperature. Same thing with heated seats. I'd leave those on. That's really nice. Auto defog, and I would leave auto rear defog on as well. That would be my preference. But those are right there. All right. Collision and detection systems. Oh my. All right. So I'm not going to go through all these because there are so many. The car is just full of awesome safety features. However, I do want to point out that there's a couple of new ones. So the new ones on this car are enhanced automatic parking assist. Go. And that's the one I showed you earlier where it'll automatically shift gears, accelerate, and brake to park you once you find the location. Blind zone steering assist. Okay, if lane keeping assist and lane change are activated, then if you try to turn and there's a car in your blind spot, it will actually steer you gently back to your lane, and it will alert you. Now, I think you can turn the steering feature off and just get the alert, but we'll see in a second here. Front pedestrian and bicyclist braking at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Okay, it's either going to auto brake or if you're already braking, it will assist you to brake as hard as the car can brake. Hey, rear cross traffic braking. So when you're backing up and it sees something, it's going to automatically brake for you. Intersection automatic braking. Okay, it's going to provide alert and braking if it senses something in the intersection where you're turning. So that is just way cool. And of course, traffic sign recognition. Now, it's going to read the speed limit signs, but it only gives you an alert. So if you're traveling a little bit above the speed limit, it'll give you an alert. It doesn't match your speed to the sign. Okay, and it does require an active OnStar plan. It'll come free with the car when it's new for a while, but then it'll require a plan. First of all, they're all here. Okay, and let me show you how you adjust them. First of all, you can set the alert type. So right now it's set so this driver's seat will vibrate, but you can also just set it to beeps. I like this if you've never used it before because it's unusual and it does catch your attention. You're like, well, what's going on? So I like it there. Automatic emergency braking, you can set these to off, alert, or alert and brake. I'd suggest alert and brake. That would be my suggestion. Let's go down here. This is the same kind. So this one is on or off button. If you click on it, you can just get on or off, but you also get a description, okay? So this has got fully adaptive cruise control. So if you're in traffic and you're stopped, and also in the car ahead of you goes, but you're not paying attention, it's going to alert you that the car ahead of you's moved, okay? Side bicyclist alert, okay? Lane change alert. Parking assist with braking, rear cross traffic, these are just so cool, but they all work the same way. So this is where you can make all the adjustments to your collision and detection systems. Now, you do have a drowsiness and attention assistant, and if that's on, it's going to warn you if it thinks you need to take a break. Like your hands are off the steering wheel too much, or you're weaving too much, it's going to suggest you pull over and take a break. You can turn that off there. You can also say, I want low sensitivity, normal, or off completely. Okay, let's go back here. Under notifications, this is just going to be where you get a notification from the car. Like recently sent, maps. Google Assistant an hour ago. Profile setup an hour ago. So it's anything that's happened with the vehicle, it notifies you. Okay, under apps, okay, it'll show you what was recently opened. Okay, so if someone's been borrowing your car and you want to go, what were they into? You can go find out. All right, date and time, I've already showed you how to click on the clock to get to that. Sounds, maximum volumes at startup. Okay, if you like to have music playing the instant you start the car, every single time you get in the car, then you'll want to leave it here or even increase it. However, if you're like me and you like to get in the car and you don't want the volume on until you turn it up, you can come in here and I think you can click and drag and set that to 0. This way, every time you get in the car and start it, you don't hear sound from the radio until you turn it up. And you can set that level there. All right. This is, again, here, you can add a count right here. So you can rename this one. And then, of course, there's a statement on privacy if you want to look at that. Accessibility, you can have caption preferences for different things on the infotainment screen and dashboard, okay, which is very nice. Your Google Assistant, okay. So here, if I go to the gear wheel, I can say, well, do I want them to know like where my home is? Choose my language for my assistant. Do I want to be able to say, hey, Google? Or do I not want to? I can say, hey, Google, and nothing happens. If I turn it on here, hey, Google, and it's there. Do I want to allow suggestions from the Hey Google Assistant? Okay, well, yes or no. Turn that on or off. Read and respond to vehicle notifications. Okay, so you can, and this doesn't have to do with text. This has to do with the notifications the car is sending you. All right. Let's get back out of here. And then under system here, this is where you can choose your language. If you use the keyboard, you can use that. The automotive keyboard, you can make settings here. Now, personally, I would just use the voice command or the Hey Google, because you can do things like, hey Google, navigate to North Carolina.
Sure, North Carolina.
And there it goes. So, that's only 18 hours away. I could be in warm weather. That is a beautiful display, isn't it? It really is. I'll get back to that in a little bit. All right. So, we were under settings here, and we were under system here. Okay. So, my point is, you can set most everything through voice command in the Google Assistant. You don't need to type things into a keyboard anymore. But if you prefer to do that, you can make some settings for your keyboards there. You can change units here, US to metric. And then, of course, if something happens and something's not working well, you can always reset the vehicle settings, reset your app preferences, or restart in safe mode. But I would read your owner's manual a little bit about that safe mode before you do. Okay, now get back out of here. Of course, this does have over-the-air updates. Okay, and it's not going to install them while you're driving. It's going to install them when you're parked, but it will download them for you automatically. Okay, and you can look at preferences right here. You can say download updates in the background, so I don't even know, and all of a sudden it will just pop up and say updates been downloaded. We'll install at the next possible chance, or download updates via Wi-Fi when available. And you know that one, if you turn this one off, then this one would happen when you're hooked to a Wi-Fi, right? Like your home Wi-Fi. All right. Well, let's go back to home for a minute. I want to hook up my phone to Android Auto. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Android Auto and I'm gonna hit pair phone. I'm gonna go on my phone. I'm gonna go into settings. Before I do anything more, I'm gonna go to connections, and then I'm gonna click on Bluetooth. Now, once I'm in Bluetooth, I'm going to scroll to the bottom where I would see a new device, and I'm going to go pair. Oops. Nope. I waited too long. So Android Auto, pair phone. Okay. And I'm looking for Cadillac 4304. You might have to hit scan if your phone's been looking and then stopped. There it is. I'm going to click on it. Okay, now you're gonna want to pay attention to the screen and your phone screen. Okay, so here, this is the same number I have on my phone, so I'm gonna hit pair. I'm gonna hit pair on my phone, and it's gonna ask you a few questions. This one, okay, if you click disable, you won't be able to use Android Auto unless you erase your phone, from the system and resync it. It'll work via Bluetooth, but not Android Auto. So I'm going to click enable. On my phone, it says, do I want the car to be access messages? Yes. I'm going to click allow. Do I want the car to access my contacts? Yes, allow. Okay, and I think we should be close to having this pop up on the screen. All right. At this point, I can turn my phone off and set it in the wireless charger. And the next time I get in the car, this will automatically connect. Now, I have very, very low signal on my phone, as you can see. So Google Maps is not going to show up. But any navigation app you have will show up and you can use it. Okay? So let's say down the road you don't want to pay for, the Google Maps and the Google Assistant and the Google Play Store, because those things will go away if you don't pay the subscription fee when it expires. You can always use it on your phone. So let's just go here for a minute to this icon, and this gives me my split screen. So I got media over here, I got navigation here. If I click it again, I'm going to see all of my apps. Oops, I clicked it too many times. Now, the only real difference between Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as far as the car goes is in Android Auto, you're going to scroll up and down to see all your apps. And in Apple CarPlay, you're going to go left or right. But folks, the way to set them up is exactly the same. So if you have an iPhone, just follow the same procedure I showed you for the Android, and it'll work for Apple CarPlay. Okay. You can get some really neat things on here. Maps are getting better. Like I've got Waze on here. I got Google Maps. Plug and share if you have an electric car. You can look for charging stations, that kind of stuff. Now, how do you get out? Well, you can press the exit here, or you can press the home button, either one. These will be your most recently used items right here. And of course, it tells you your Wi-Fi signal and your battery strength. Any media app, anything that plays audio files, books, music, that kind of stuff will show up in here. Videos, no, and for a good reason. All right, now, if I click there, I can go to my phone and I can click on options. When you sell the car, you're going to want to go here and hit forget phone. Okay? You can also say, if there's multiple phones connected to the car, you can say when this is on, this phone will be the first one your vehicle connects to. Okay? All right. So I'm just going to turn that feature off for now. And I'm going to tell it to forget my phone while I'm at it. And you can also click the plus sign there to add a phone. All right. So that's how you're going to do Android Auto. All right. Now, in addition to that beautiful 360 camera, this also has a rear view camera. Now, that's a little different than a parking camera. And let me show you what I mean. Okay, so this is a rear view digital camera in the mirror. If you flick the day-night switch, it turns into a regular mirror. On the bottom, you have a couple of buttons. You can click here to adjust the brightness, and then this is like your main menu things, and then you use this to actually make the adjustment, whatever this selects. Magnify. Okay. Tilt. Up or down. and then we're back to brightness. And that is it for the driver's information screen, the infotainment screen, and that beautiful digital rear view mirror in the 2025 Cadillac CT5. And again, this is all-wheel drive and the premium luxury trim level. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.